There is a voice inside you. It speaks when the world goes quiet. It whispers when no one is watching. It shows up in the mirror, in the pauses, in the moments between who you are and who you are becoming. And today, I want to talk to that voice. Because the truth is, you don't become what the world tells you, you become what you tell yourself. So let me ask you something. What have you been saying to yourself lately? Have you been saying, I'm not enough, I'm too emotional, I'm too soft, I'm too much? Or maybe I should be stronger, colder, tougher, less me. Because if that's the conversation happening inside you, then no matter how powerful you are, you will shrink to match the words you believe. But here's the shift. Here's the truth that changes everything. Your identity is not fixed. Your identity is formed sentence by sentence, thought by thought, belief by belief. And if that's true, then you have the power to rewrite the script. Let's talk about something that the world has misunderstood for far too long. Let's talk about feminine energy, because somewhere along the way, society decided that strength looks like hardness, that power looks like control, that success looks like suppression. And in that definition, women were told to become something they were never meant to be. They were told, don't feel too much. Don't speak too softly. Don't care too deeply. Don't cry. Don't be vulnerable. And slowly, painfully, many women began to silence the very thing that made them powerful: their emotional depth, their intuition, their sensitivity, their ability to feel fully. But let me tell you something today, clearly, unapologetically. Your emotions are not your weakness. They are your intelligence. Your depth is not something to fix. It is something to understand. Because while the world was busy glorifying logic, you were mastering something far more complex: the language of the human heart. You see, feminine energy is not loud, but it is powerful. It does not force, but it influences. It does not dominate, but it transforms. It is the calm in chaos, the presence in pain, the strength that doesn't need to prove itself. And yet it is often misunderstood. People say she's too emotional, but what they really mean is she feels more than I know how to handle. People say she's sensitive, but what they don't understand is sensitivity is awareness at its highest level. And people say she's soft, but softness is what holds everything together. Let me say that again. Softness is not the absence of strength. It is strength under control. Now here's where it gets real. Because knowing this, hearing this is one thing, but becoming it, living it, owning it, that requires a different conversation with yourself. Because every day, whether you realize it or not, you are talking yourself into a version of who you are. Every doubt you repeat becomes a belief. Every fear you rehearse becomes your reality. Every limitation you accept becomes your identity. So if you keep saying, I'm too emotional, then guess what? You will experience your emotions as a burden. But if you start saying, my emotions are my guidance system, everything changes. If you keep saying, I'm not strong enough, then life will constantly prove you right. But if you say, I am powerful in ways that don't need to be loud, you begin to stand differently, speak differently, live differently. Because here's the secret. Your life follows the direction of your inner dialogue. Let's go deeper. Women carry something extraordinary. They carry emotional memory. They carry intuition. They carry an ability to read energy that cannot be taught, only felt. They walk into a room and know what's wrong without a word being spoken. They feel shifts before they happen. They love with a depth that can heal or break depending on how it's honored. And yet, instead of celebrating this, society often labels it as too much, too intense, too dramatic, too complicated. But let me ask you this. What if too much is exactly what this world needs? What if your ability to feel is what allows you to connect, to lead, to nurture, to create? Because here's the truth. The world doesn't need more people who are disconnected. It needs more people who are deeply alive. Now listen carefully. There is a silent power in women that doesn't always get recognized. It doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't demand validation. It doesn't demand validation. It doesn't chase approval. It simply exists. It shows up in the way you hold yourself together when no one sees, in the way you keep going, even when you're exhausted, in the way you love even after being hurt. That's not weakness. That is resilience in its purest form. You don't just survive, you transform. And yet, because it's quiet, because it's graceful, because it doesn't look like traditional power, it gets overlooked, but never confuse quiet. Because the strongest forces in the world are often the ones you cannot see. So now we come back to the question, what are you saying to yourself? Are you honoring your nature, or are you trying to fight it? Are you embracing your depth, or are you apologizing for it? Are you standing in your truth or shrinking to fit someone else's comfort? Because every time you silence yourself, you send a message to your identity. Every time you say, I shouldn't feel this way, you disconnect from your power. But every time you say, this is who I am, and I choose to understand it, you step into alignment, and alignment is where real power lives. Let me give you something practical. From this moment forward, I want you to start talking to yourself differently, not someday, not when you feel ready. Now, when you look in the mirror, don't just see yourself, speak to yourself. Say, I am not too much. I am deeply aware. I am not weak. I am emotionally intelligent. I do not need to harden to be respected. I can be soft and still be powerful. My presence is enough. My voice matters. My feelings are valid. I trust myself. And at first it might feel uncomfortable. It might feel unnatural because you've spent years, maybe decades, practicing a different script. And remember, repetition creates belief. Belief creates identity. Identity creates destiny. So if you repeat empowerment long enough, you will become it. And here's something else you need to understand. Not everyone will understand you. Not everyone will appreciate your depth. Not everyone will value your softness. Not everyone will be able to meet you emotionally. And that's okay. Because your job is not to shrink until you are accepted. Your job is to expand until you are aligned. Let me say that again. You are not here to be easily understood. You are here to be fully expressed. There is a grace in feminine energy that doesn't compete. It attracts. It doesn't chase, it allows. It doesn't force, it flows. And when you stop fighting who you are, when you stop trying to become a version of strength that was never meant for you, you unlock something powerful. Presence. And presence is magnetic. People feel it. They trust it. They respect it, not because you demanded it, but because you embodied it. So today I challenge you not to change who you are, but to change the way you speak to who you are. Because that voice inside you, that quiet, constant conversation, it is shaping your reality more than anything else. And if you can master that voice, if you can turn it into your ally instead of your critic, if you can make it speak truth instead of fear, then there is nothing you cannot become. So stand in your depth, honor your emotions, trust your intuition, embrace your softness, own your strength. And when doubt tries to speak, when the old voice comes back, when the world tries to define you, you look back at yourself and you say, I know who I am. I am not what you misunderstand. I am not what you expect. I am what I choose repeatedly every single day. Because at the end of it all, the most powerful conversation you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. So make it count, make it empowering, make it honest, make it align with the woman you are becoming. Talk to yourself until your words become your reality. Talk to yourself until your identity matches your vision. Talk to yourself until your identity matches your vision. Talk to yourself until you no longer need permission to be powerful. And when that day comes, you won't just believe in yourself, you will know. And that knowing, that quiet, unshakable certainty, that is your true power. So speak carefully, speak intentionally, speak powerfully, because you are always listening and you are always becoming. Become someone worth listening to from the inside.